What's up, everyone? This is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 191 with Mikel and
Tanyka.
real conversations on different topics. So today we're going to be talking about a specific topic, and Tanyka will provide us with that topic for today's episode. Tanyka?
So this episode that we're going to be doing is a true crime one,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the story of Cassie Jo Stoddart. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we did an episode a little while back. It was an episode that I realized that I went about it incorrectly, but it was the case that was inspired by Scream. So I think the difference that I did, though, is that what case inspired Scream, which was the episode that we did, think that was during a Halloween episode, but I can't remember. That
Right.
was that one, but that was the wrong case that I was after. This is the one that I was after. This one was actually Scream inspired this case.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who know Scream,
Right.
obviously, Mikel, you've watched the first movie. You're going to see a lot of similarities with Scream
I see.
in this particular story.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between Scream is fake.
Mm-hmm.
Scream, you can love the bad guy if you want to and not feel bad. This is totally different because this is a real person. These are real people.
Mm-hmm.
And this was absolutely senseless. So, let's get into it.
Okay.
So, Cassie Jo Stoddart, who was born on December 21st, 1989, she was a 16-year-old high school junior, and she was a victim of a thrill killing in Idaho on September 22nd, 2006, while she was pet sitting her aunt and uncle's dogs at their home. Her aunt and her uncle were away, so she was staying at their home to house sit / pet sit. The perpetrators were her friends and her classmates named Brian Lee Draper, who was born March 21st, 1990, and Tori Michael Adamczyk. Who cares how you say his name? I don't care. Okay, it's Adamczyk, but who cares? He was born June 14th, 1990. Stoddart's body was discovered 2 days later when her relatives returned home from their trip. The perpetrators claimed that they were inspired to murder Stoddart by the slasher film Scream, which led to them being nicknamed the Scream Killers.
Right.
Adamczyk and Draper recorded documentary-style videos about how they were horror movie fans, especially Scream, and wanted to reenact a similar murder in real life. They started a death list, you heard me right, of other potential victims the day of Stoddart's murder, following their initial plan. Both perpetrators received sentences of life imprisonment without parole on August 24th, 2007. So let's go into the background of the case and everyone involved. So, Draper, one of the bad guys, was born in Sandy, Utah, while Adamczyk was born and raised in, I think it's Pocatello, Idaho. Draper's family eventually settled in Idaho. Draper met Adamczyk when they were both sophomores at Pocatello High School. So yeah, Adamczyk and Draper recorded documentary-style videos about how they were horror movie fans, especially Scream, and wanted to reenact similar. That's where I went backwards by accident. So yeah, I do not have issue with the fact that they wanted to start their own recording films and whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Be a Randy. I'm okay with that. But don't be Billy and Stu. Don't do that part because this is ridiculous. Anyway, Stoddart, along with Draper and Adamczyk, were 11th graders at Pocatello High School. Looking for fame and pleasure, the two wanted to go on a killing spree because like one does apparently,
Right.
hoping to outdo our Eric Harris and Dylan Kelbold, who were the Columbine perpetrators. That's probably a case that I may never cover, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's what they were, as well as a fictional Billy Loomis and Stu Macher from the first Scream film. Listen, you punks, Billy, you will never be. How about we just don't try to be Billy? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because Billy's
Yeah.
fake. Okay, he's a fake person. Skeet Ulrich isn't out here going killing people. I hope. Billy's fake. Stu is fake. I don't understand. Why do we have to tell people this? Anyway, um, so Draper and Adamczyk would make tapes detailing their plan and motive. They would mention Harris and Kelbold in their homemade videos and were
Mm-hmm.
reportedly planning a Columbine-like shooting. Draper and Adamczyk would choose their two friends, Matt Beckham and Cassie Jo Stoddart, as their first victims.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm trying to remember what the name of Drew Barrymore's character was. I don't know why I think her name was Casey.
I don't know either.
Do you mind Googling that for me? Drew Barrymore's character's name in Scream? Because I feel
Drew
like there's something that I don't know if anyone's linked before.
Barrymore?
Drew Barrymore in
Yeah.
Scream, what her character's name was in Scream. Pretty sure it's Casey. And if it is, that just got sicker than I think. I don't know if a podcaster's ever made those connections before. Um,
Yeah, it is Casey.
oh my God.
Yeah.
That's really fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel because I mean the first person, there's no connection to Scream at all. But I wonder
Mm-hmm.
if they picked Casey because her name is Casey. And
Mm.
so is Drew Barrymore's character. That's that's disgusting. Okay. Okay, one of the Adam Chicks's friends, Joe Lucero, testified that he bought four knives for Adam Chick and Draper. Luke, I mean, again, you're buying knives for these two people. You don't ask questions. You just buy the knives and say, "Here you go." Lucero, who would say that that he used $45 to pay for the knives, $40 from Draper, and $5 from Adam Chick. Lucero identified four of the state's exhibits as the knives he bought. Out of the four, one of the knives had a serrated blade, and the other three knives were non-serrated. Lucero would testify that Draper made a point to claim ownership of the serrated knife. So the actual murder. So just
Mm-hmm.
forewarning, this isn't going to be great. Oh,
Right.
on the night of September 22nd, 2006, Studdard was house sitting for her aunt and uncle, Allison and Frank. I think it's Contreras, I believe, on Whispering Cliffs Drive in Northeast Bannock County. Um, the Contreras family was out of town and had hired Studdard to house sit their pets for the weekend.
Mm.
Studdard was visited that evening by her boyfriend, Matt Beckham, who arrived around 6 p.m. Later, so again, that's another thing. Oh, just spoiler alert, the boyfriend is not killed. We'll get into how that comes about.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also that whole thing. Again, her name is Casey. Her boyfriend's there. They want to kill both her and the boyfriend, just like in Scream. Casey and Steve,
Mm-hmm.
who was her boyfriend. Just again, that really messed up Scream connection is
All right.
for these two idiots. Um, So yeah, her boyfriend arrived at 6 p.m. Later, classmates Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk were
Mm-hmm.
both age 16 at the time, came over to the house to hang out. Studdard gave the friends a tour of the house, including the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on to that. The four teens went into the living room to watch the film Kill Bill Volume 2, but Adamczyk and Draper ended up leaving before the film ended, saying they wanted to watch another movie at the movie theater instead. Stoddard was unaware that before the boys left, Draper had unlocked the basement door so that he and Adamchick could re-enter the house undetected. Sometime after leaving the house on Whispering Cliffs, Draper and Adamchick returned to the neighborhood, parked down the street, got out of their car, and put on costumes consisting of dark clothing, gloves, and white painted masks. Sound familiar?
Mhm.
Sounds like Ghostface. The boys quietly entered the house through the basement door while the other couple was watching television in the living room. They intentionally made loud noises in an unsuccessful attempt to lure Beckham and Stoddard downstairs so they
Mhm.
could scare them, quote unquote.
Mhm.
Next, they found the circuit breaker and turned off the power in the house, hoping the pair would come downstairs to check the breaker. When Beckham and Stoddard did not come downstairs, the boys turned some of the lights back on.
Mhm.
Stoddard became uneasy after the temporary power outage, and Beckham noticed that one of the Contreras' dogs kept staring down the basement stairs, periodically barking or growling, because dogs are smart. Seeing that Stoddard felt scared, Beckham called his mother to ask if he could stay the night at the house with her to ease her mind, but his mom denied the request, and I get why she did. Instead, she offered to let Stoddard come home with Beckham and stay at their house for the night, and she would bring Stoddard back to the Whispering Cliffs house the next morning. However, Stoddard felt it was her responsibility to stay at the house, as she was hired to do and care for the animals, and declined the offer from Beckham's mother.
Mhm.
At approximately 10:30 p.m., Beckham's mother picked him up, leaving Stoddard at the house alone. Beckham called Adamchick's cell phone to see where he and Draper were,
Mhm.
possibly to meet up with them later. Beckham said he could barely hear Adamchick because he was hiding in the basement, but anyways, who was whispering on the phone and assumed the boys were in the movie theater. From the basement, Draper and Adamchick heard Beckham leave. The teens turned the lights out again at the circuit breaker and waited, hoping Stoddard would come downstairs to turn the lights back on. She didn't. Eventually, the boys went upstairs. Draper was armed with a dagger-type weapon. As we've discussed, they had those knives. And Anachik had a hunting knife, the weapons having been purchased at a pawn shop. Draper opened and slammed a closet door at the top of the stairs to scare Stoddard, who was lying on the couch in the living room. The boys then attacked her, stabbing her approximately 30 times. 12 wounds were potentially fatal. During the
Mhm.
investigation of the murder, police found that Draper and Adam Chick had made videotapes detailing their plan to murder Stoddard and other classmates. The video footage was shown at their trials. So, the investigation. The boyfriend of Stoddard's mother was initially considered a person of interest after his fingerprints were found on the circuit breaker door in the basement, where the lights had been tampered with in the lead up to the murder. However, he provided a reasonable explanation for this discovery,
Mhm.
as he had done electrical work at the Contreras residence a few months prior to the murder, which was corroborated by the Contreras family. The attention turned to Stoddard's boyfriend, Matt Beckham, obviously. Not obviously, but it they always go to the boyfriend,
Mhm.
no spouse
Mhm.
or whatever, who had been the last known person to see Stoddard alive. Beckham confirmed to
Mhm.
police that the lights had been flickering on and off while he was present at the home. His mother explained to the police that she heard Stoddard's voice from the house as Beckham came out the door. After he was cleared by a polygraph test and consistent alibi, detectives brought in Draper and Adamchick for further questioning because obviously Matt Beckham told them, well, those two dum-dums were there, so, maybe they know something.
Mhm.
Draper and Adamchick told police that after they left the Contreras residence, they went downtown to watch the movie Pulse. I don't remember that movie at all.
Right.
The teens couldn't recount any details from the movie, leading detectives to press harder to determine their whereabouts because if you're gonna talk about going to a movie, maybe you should make sure what the movie's about. Just an idea. Hell, at least the Menendez brothers knew how to do that. So then they claimed that they had instead gone through cars in the area and had not been to the movie theater. I guess stealing? I don't know. Draper eventually confessed to police but downplayed his role in the crime. Draper and Adamczyk were arrested on September 27th, 2006, and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Across multiple interrogations, each teen blamed the other. Draper claimed he was in the same room with Adamczyk when Stoddard was killed, but denied stabbing her. In later interrogation, he admitted to stabbing her at the behest of Adamczyk, who told him to, quote, make sure she is dead. So basically, he's trying to say, I didn't do anything. Oh, well, then I did do something because I was forced to. No, you did it because you wanted to. Don't down, don't downplay this, idiots. Um, He led investigators to Black Rock Canyon, where the teens had partially burned and then buried the clothing, masks, and weapons they used for the murder. Police recovered a partially burned VHS tape. In case there's anyone who doesn't know what a VHS is, it's this thing where it's a black thing with tape inside, and then you put it in, and then it plays whatever is on it.
Yeah.
Something that we don't have anymore. Anyways, if you're old like us. So yeah, partially burned VHS tape from the location, which after a restoration showed video footage of their plans to kill Stoddard. So now we're at the trial and then subsequently sentencing. At trial, the prosecution revealed that the two teens were inspired by Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, again, the ones who committed the Columbine High School Massacre, as well as the Scream horror film franchise. In a passage written by Draper that was shown in court during his trial titled Columbine, it read, quote, I'm becoming more and more obsessed with Columbine. It seems now that that's all I think about. I would give anything to go back in time and be a part of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold's lives. They are my heroes. I will follow in their footsteps and maybe I'll even meet them. Just, just like, where are your parents? Get this kid some help. That's my question. That's my question for all of this. Where are your parents? Anyway, both teens were convicted of first-degree murder, with Draper convicted on April 17th, 2007, and Adamczyk on June 8th, 2007. On August 31st, 2007, each received a mandatory sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, plus 30 years to life for being convicted of conspiracy to commit murder. So basically, bye. Have a nice life in prison. Adamczyk and Draper are both serving their time at Idaho State Correctional Institution, located in unincorporated Ada County, Idaho, near Kuna. In November 2019, Adamczyk's sentence was upheld after his appeal was denied by the Idaho Supreme Court. Yeah. I just love when these idiots try to appeal. Like, what are you really trying to achieve here? But anyways, Adamczyk and Draper were called to testify in the 2024 trial for the murder of Norrie Jones in September 2004. The defense argued that there were other suspects who were not investigated by authorities. Neither of them testified, and the defendant was later found guilty. Not sure why they would have needed to testify. Like, I don't know the reason why they would have had to testify in that particular trial, as they thought they were involved. But anyways, so the aftermath. The funeral of Stoddard was held on October 1st, 2006, and was attended by 500 people. After the murder, Stoddard's family started pumpkins for Cassie to honor her memory. The pumpkins were manned by Stoddard's grandmother and a friend, and also provided a chance for community members to help the Pocatello Animal Shelter or the Idaho Food Bank. Anyone who made a donation was handed a pumpkin. The convicted men's attorneys filed separate appeals, as we kind of just talked about, at the Idaho Supreme Court in September 2010 for Adamczyk and in April 2011 for Draper. Draper was seeking to have his conviction vacated or to be given a limited life sentence that would allow for his release on parole, if approved, after 30 years. The first appeal for both Adamczyk and Draper were denied in a 3-2 decision. The High Court vacated Draper's conviction on conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, saying that jurors were given erroneous instructions on that charge, but they affirmed his conviction for first-degree murder and life sentence without parole. So, yeah, they took out the conspiracy, but it's not going to change anything because you're still going to be there for the rest of your life.
Huh.
In July 2015, a hearing for post-conviction relief for Adamczyk was held before State 6th District Magistrate Judge Mitchell W. Brown. The claim was that testimony from character witnesses could have changed the outcome of the sentencing, but that his former attorney, against his parents' wishes, chose not to call upon those witnesses. Adamczyk said that his attorney believed that the prosecution would have submitted even more damaging evidence. In March 2016, Judge Brown denied the request. Adamczyk's counsel appealed Judge Brown's decision to the Idaho Supreme Court, which rejected the appeal and upheld the district court decision in December of 2017. Following the Idaho Supreme Court's decision, Adamczyk's counsel filed a federal writ of habeas corpus in January 2018, in which it was argued that the court denied his first appeal based on a theory that was not presented to the jury. Counsel also argued that he should be entitled to a new sentencing hearing in light of the Miller and Montgomery decisions. Federal Magistrate Judge Candy W. Dale denied the writ in November of 2019, so I'm assuming that was the last appeal. Judge Dale's decision was appealed to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals in February 2022, so it wasn't a last appeal, but the court upheld the sentence in March of 2022. How about we just let it go? You're never going to win. But anyways, there was a civil suit. This is the last little piece here. In 2010, the Stoddart family filed a civil lawsuit against the Pocatello School District, claiming that school authorities were negligent and should have known that Draper and Adamczyk posed a threat to others. Both the civil court and the Idaho Supreme Court dismissed the case, saying the actions of the killers were not foreseeable, which I actually agree with as well. Um, I don't I don't think the school could have foreseen this. In some cases with these kinds of things, yes, there are signs, but I don't think it's crazy that there may not be signs if two people are going to kill somebody, especially when it's off school property. So I don't see a lot of liability on the school's part in that. Where I think liability lies is the parents. How do the parents not know that their children are a little warped? And it kind of, not to go into Scream of it all, but it
Mhm.
kind of goes back to the fifth movie for me. It's the fifth movie? Yeah, the fifth movie. Where, for those who've seen the fifth movie, I know, Mikel, you haven't, but the fifth movie is based on the fact that, so obviously that's the new cast comes in, right? Like the Jenna Ortega and everybody, that's when that kind of comes in. And the sister of Jenny Ortega's character, who is actually the illegitimate daughter of Billy Loomis, is dating a guy who ultimately is the killer, along with a friend of Jenny Ortega's. So both of them, right? We're not talking about her right now, but him, he has obviously this weird obsession with the movies, with the Scream franchise especially, or in this case, the Stab franchise. In the movies, Stab, not Scream. But he's obsessed with that and wants to create his own movie. And they were filming. They were filming
Mhm.
the kills, and because they wanted to create their own movie. The fourth one kind of did a similar thing as well, but it just didn't have that same element as it did in the fifth one. And then you hop over to the sixth movie because obviously he dies, and so does the other one. We head on over to the sixth movie, and we have now the storyline of a dad and his siblings wanting to avenge his death. Spoiler alert, they were also the Ghostface killers. So Sorry if you haven't seen the movie. It's been out for a while
Okay.
now.
Oh, good.
But I'm not spoiling the 7th one. That's obviously more recent. But, yeah, that's kind of where that comes in, and it's like, again, my I think kinda critically sometimes when I watch these movies, I think, "How did the parents not know? How did the parents not know that your son is that obsessive about a movie franchise and that this can go south if, like, the movie franchise doesn't go to where he wants it to go?"
Mm-hmm.
But then it then brings me back all the way back to the first one with Billy Loomis's dad. How did you not know that your son was killing people either? So that's what it comes back to for me is I can't blame the school, but I feel like I can blame the parents a little bit. Where were you when all of this was happening? Now I know parents aren't perfect and you can't catch everything, and I get that. But I would like to think that if my child is exhibiting obsessive type behavior, that that is going to be like, "Whoa, what is going on here?" To a unhealthy degree, you know? Like, I know, like, I've had my moments as a child where I had my obsessive tendencies, and I think I talked about it on the podcast too, and that was Michael Jackson. I was a little obsessive. My parents saw that, and that was an innocent thing. It's not like I'm gonna go out there and do what these idiots did, but it's an innocent thing in the grand scheme of things, but it can get unhealthy. So I just don't get how parents miss that. That's where I think the blame is. So I totally get a court dismissing their case against the school board.
Mm.
And I get compensation and wanting that compensation and wanting justice in all avenues. But I think going after the school board was the wrong thing, personally. Go after the parents.
Right. All right. I agree.
You get a wrongful death case against the parents,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because the burden of proof is so different in a civil lawsuit than in a criminal. You would have they probably would have won a civil case against the parents for wrongful death. But anyways, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get off that now. But that's the
Okay.
end of the episode.
All right. Okay. Cool. 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 Interesting stuff here. All
Yeah.
right. So I have nothing to add on that. So I'm out.
As yeah, we'll be back next week with another
Yep.
episode.
Okay.
All right.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, everybody. If you liked what you heard with our podcast, you can head on over to our website, which is solo.to/next take podcast. There you can get any of the links to any of our social media, which is Facebook, Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Next Take Pod. You can also find links to our Reddit page and many other things, I'm sure. Can't remember all the top of my head. You can also email us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com. There you can send us any inquiries that you have, any questions, or also any episode ideas. And if you do have episode ideas, just make sure you put in the subject line episode ideas, and we'll add it to our list. If you also liked us, you can like us, rate us, follow us on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can rate us, however, on Spotify and Apple Podcast. We would greatly appreciate that. And we'll also move forward and share or spot a light on those who give us 5-star ratings in the future. That is it for us. We'll see you next time for the episode.